What's your first wrestling memory?
Oof. So, because my dad was a professional wrestler, and he's
a Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer,
Dusty.
yeah.
Right, sure.
When he brought me to my first matches, he was kind of past his career. He was on the executive side of things himself, and I only knew the guys like Sting and the guys who I was there to see. And he brought me backstage thinking I would want to be part of it. But when I heard the first bump in the ring and the crowd react, I never wanted to be backstage again. I didn't care for it at all. I wanted to be out there and see it. It was a Brad Armstrong match in Savannah, Georgia, and it was in my blood after that. I was hooked.
So you remember the first match you were brought to by your dad?
Oh, yeah.
And so, because there was no YouTube back then, how did you learn about your father's Hall of Fame wrestling resume?
I found in our guest bedroom at my parents' house, I found this kind of chest of huge reels. And this is, VHS was pretty big at the time.
Sure.
And they were trying to put a lot of VHS stuff out. However, a lot of the stuff my dad was in was rather violent and bloody. So it was hidden from me, but I found it, and I dove right in, and I watched everything. I was genuinely shocked because I was 8 or 9 years old. I had no clue.
You had no idea?
No, I didn't know he was. I didn't know he was as significant in our industry as a wrestler until I saw that, and then I couldn't. He was my favorite. After that, I would get into a fight with anybody over it. So he was my favorite.
Okay. Did you ever have any other wrestling royalty just over at the house for dinner or anything like that?
Oh yeah, there's a.
Give me a good dinner story here. What do you got for me?
It may kill a great deal of the mystery, but it's the greatest one of all time. Okay. We hosted an entire Thanksgiving with the Four Horsemen, and this isn't long after I think they had broken Dusty's leg, but there's just there's a video of me. There's a video of me in like a little car under the table, just pushing myself past Arn Anderson's big leg and Ric Flair there at the end of the table. So yeah, we always had folks over. It was wild to see guys like the Road Warriors and the Stinger and Boss Man. It was just a nuts childhood.
It's just walking around. So you're like riding in a car on Ric Flair. So they broke your dad's leg, and he's like, "Come on over, have some
he always
chicken or have some turkey or come on now."
He always explained it to me in a way that I didn't mind. I liked being disillusioned by it all, and his simple ways of putting it to me always, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like he explained that you couldn't fight outside of the ring, otherwise the league, which the vague league, would fine you, or there would be these big repercussions. And at a young age, I bought it. Like, oh yeah, hey, that makes sense. And then the same as we got older, I'd see guys bust a wooden chair over his head and then shake his hand later, and he'd say, well, the respect back here, out there.
Yeah,
it's the only place we can truly compete. And I never once did I question it. Never once. I didn't want to question it. The show was too dang fun.
Yeah, I was the son of a French teacher, Cody.
Whoa.
And I just remember the first time he took me into the class, and I saw behind the lesson plan, and I was just, whoa. No, I'm just.
You fought all the kids of Spanish teachers.
You know what? Hey,
yeah.
You want to start? My dad is, he was a vice principal. He was a college advisor.
Yeah. Do you speak French?
Un peu.
There you go.
There you go.
There it is.
I meant a little. So do you still see Ric Flair, some of the OGs? I
try really hard with what we do now. We just had for All Out in Chicago, both Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson were involved. But I try to really sprinkle it in the best possible way when you have some nostalgia.
Yes.
Because it's so important that we push forward the new class and the new roster of talent, because wrestling for a long time is like heavily reliant on, let's bring on this legend, let's bring on this, veteran. And in this case, I try to just sprinkle them in. Like Arn came down and just hit a wicked spine buster, and the entire Sears Center went nuts, and that was all he needed to do, So I try to keep it involved, because for me, I can't be a character. it's my character is who I really am. I'm really Dusty's son, and I grew up in the business, and I can't really pretend to be anything else. So for me, it fits into a lot of my matches.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live or download the Rich Eisen Show app.